guys, thanks for joining. This is Essence of History. Today we're going to be talking about secret communication during World War II. I'm Amanda Armagost.
I'm Melissa Haber.
And I'm the man in black, a man of mystery, all in black, talking about all the secret things that make us win the war in Second World War. And make no mistake, Second World War was a technology war, was a mathematician war.
It all makes sense now. Why Dr. Abbasi would be so excited about talking about World War II. Did I hear mathematics?
Why was World War II a mathematician war?
So see, for a long time, you win the wars by wielding a sword, and who had more people who wield the sword and literally weapon, initially obviously the cutting weapons, and later on muskets and primitive kind of primitive guns. And if you had more of that, you won the war. It was just winning a war was how many men do you have at the place of the battle? Mm-hmm. That was a simple arithmetic. More or less would make that. Second World War changed all of that because it wasn't just about the number of the people you had, it's about how you would use them. Mm-hmm. It's one of the wars that the logistic, knowing the moves of your enemy in advance. Now imagine your enemy has 100 ships, but only 10 of them are in a location and you know where they are. Then you can trap them and and you have only 20 ships, mm-hmm. but you bring all your 20 ships and destroy their 100 fleet, 10 at a time. Mm-hmm. And this was not a small feat, that was the war. The Second World War was the war that we truly started communicating with radio waves. The problem with the radio waves is that it's there for everybody.
They can be intercepted.
Yeah, and they start coding it, but even the codes were broken as they were produced. And guess what? The mathematicians are the people who understand how to code better or decode better or break a code. So it was actually a mathematician war. We won that war because we had better mathematicians.
And we also got codes from the Native Americans, the Navajos.
Yes, we did. We did. Actually, there's a movie out there, but that was because the language, it wasn't that they spoke just Navajo. They actually made a code in Navajo, mm-hmm. and because unfamiliarity of the Axis powers with the language, and then even though they captured few people who are Navajo speaker and so on, but making a Navajo code, it was much harder for them to break.
Yeah, because they would have to learn the language and then use the language to decipher the code, whereas the people they captured, mm-hmm. And a lot of the Navajo they captured didn't know the code, right?
They didn't know the code, and and if you don't, you have to know Navajo and you have to know the code to understand, to be able to rapidly break the code. Mm-hmm. And as a matter of fact, there's a sad story there as well. Every Navajo code speaker was assigned a sergeant. They were told by U.S. Army, if they get captured, they have to kill the code speaker.
So that they can't give the code out?
Yeah, that is how important it was. That, that every single of them, they're assigned an Army sergeant that was supposed to kill them if they get captured.
I was just thinking, that makes me think of the saying, if I tell you, I'll have to kill you.
True. Yeah.
We always hear those sayings, and I'm sure at one point I believe that to be true, but mm-hmm. this is a very real situation. Quite, it's not even been 100 years.
No, it has not been. That's a beauty.
And they were using, quite frankly, that if I tell you, I'll potentially have to kill you.
Yeah.
Did the Navajos know that the sergeant had to kill them if they were captured?
I'm sure at some level they knew that guy who's just walking behind them at every point and they had to have somebody who carried those radio communication devices. They weren't like our small cell phones. They were like a huge backpack. Imagine that, like a 30-pound, 40-pound kind of things. Somebody had to carry that, and somebody had to speak for that. The Navajo speaker. So there's a carrier, there's a speaker, and then the third guy. What is the third guy there for? with the sidearm and so on, to protect them, obviously, at first. But if there's no way to protect them, to pull the trigger.
Yeah, but it wasn't, at least they were recognized for their importance, the Navajos, in 2000.
And the consequences of catching one and breaking the code was many thousand people, other people dying. So I sort of understand that, not a fair situation, but I sort of understand that that is that necessary in that situation, to make sure that the Germans or Japanese, they don't get our codes. So
yeah, well, in 2000 they did get a congressional gold medal for what they did for us.
The Navajo?
Yes, the Navajo.
By the way, Navajo is a word that we use for them.
That's not their word, is it?
No, that's not no, first of all, most of the I talk to, they hate to be called Indian. And Native American, they're okay with that. And they don't even like Navajo, because Navajo is the Spanish word for them, the wielder of a knife. It's in the knife. Navajo is a knife wielder, the knife guy. And that's how the Spanish called them. I think they called themselves Dine.
That's pretty typical for us. We kind of give a lot of indigenous people our own names for them that they actually don't appreciate. Like, I'm pretty sure there's one, I think it's the Cherokee, and it means the thieves.
Yeah, that is interesting.
So that's pretty typical. But some other interesting ways that didn't involve humans but still involved life is we used messenger pigeons.
Oh yeah, we just kind of looked into that right before we started this, because we knew that there had to be more than just humans being involved in this.
No, and I think that is the difference between all the other wars and Second World War. In all the other wars, the pigeon, they're a very big thing. People, you send a message literally. In the Napoleonic War, they start putting this telegraph post and so on. And then they started, transferring, using more and more radio. And in First World War, obviously, that was a big deal as well. But the Second World War, and this is what you're talking, correct? The Second World War, it was the communication technology is what really made the war tip one way or another. How you would, gather your forces in the right place, communication, that is what was important. And guess what? If the other side would know your plans,
the same thing could essentially happen.
Yeah. So, and there are good conspiracy theory. I'm saying good conspiracy theories that we actually caught the code and the news, their secret communication when they attacked Pearl Harbor. And but then eventually they went silence. They started to stop communicating after they went to full. The Japanese, Japanese. It is good indication that we knew something is coming. And there's a conspiracy theory that actually Roosevelt ignored that because he wanted a big attack on U.S. soil to bring the whole Congress. The day after the Pearl Harbor attack, U.S. Congress declared war on Japan. Only one vote was against that. One vote. Somebody it doesn't matter who, but the whole Congress was behind Roosevelt, and the whole country went into the war effort 100%, 200%. And there's the conspiracy theory says that we captured the codes, we knew it, but we did not act on it because nothing like could unite the whole nation in the war effort, like attack like Pearl Harbor. Okay, so I know that there are some conspiracy theories out there for everything, but there are some good indication that that one might be some truth into that. And but do you know what that says? That our technology, our mathematician, our code breakers, they were always at highest level, and they still are.
Yeah. It kind of makes me wonder, this is what we're talking about is stuff that we know, or is general public knowledge. And then you got to know, there's got to be a lot of stuff that we don't know, or that they were able to keep secret, or, these, we call them codes. Well, maybe they had something else that we can't even imagine. Because I got to think that there's some hidden stuff in there.
Yeah. I mean, we even use things that were invisible. Like we had invisible ink. I think they had to heat it up, right, to see the ink.
Yeah, that's an old one. That's an old one. Actually,
they used it during World War II.
Well, I'm sure they used it in every war. But that is easy. If you want to do that, just use just get some lemon juice and fill your, if you have one of those old, how do you call them?
Like a pen cartridge and ink
cartridge. Ink cartridge and so on. Fill it instead of ink with the lemon juice and write with that. And then it's that citric acid in that. If you heat it up, it actually becomes visible.
What do you heat it up with?
Well, don't burn.
Like a blow dryer. Would that work?
Well, it has to be a little warmer than just a regular blow dryer. But I mean, I don't know these days what. Oh, you know what? Use the curling iron that you use, and that to make. Sometimes use something to make the curly hair smooth. You put
a
straightener, whatever, and then you write it with that, and you pull it through that. I think that's hot enough to turn it. And so
okay,
maybe an iron.
But there is a good, nice story right there. I have to say it, because you see that there, knowledge is power, but not understanding the knowledge is negative power.
Okay.
So in Florida, this guy has heard the same thing. He's a thief, he's a bank robber. He heard that lemon juice makes things invisible. Hearing it or reading it somewhere, because the lemon juice, you can use it for this secret message. So this guy put lemon juice. This is a true story. He put lemon juice on his face because he thinks if he put lemon juice, the cameras in the bank cannot see him.
Only in Florida.
Only in Florida.
That would only happen in Florida, people.
I'm not sure if only in Florida, but this did happen in Florida about 30, 40 years ago. And the whole branch of game theory is developed on that says, knowledge is good, but when you overestimate your knowledge, you can do actually lots of damage. And based on that, they developed this theory. They call it Dunning curve. Now, what is it called? I just forgot. It's called the Dunning curve. Can you just look for? I knew it all along, and just call it Dunning.
What is it?
Just write down DUNN.
But
it means that when you know a little, you think you know a lot, and then practically Dunning curve, And Amanda has the GPT chat and just asking about that. It's a double name. It's not only Dunning, it's called by a double name. But practically, fools are so sure that they know everything. They overestimate their abilities, and they fall in their performance very low. But experts, they doubt their competency, meaning that, when I was in second year through my residency, I knew how to do the surgery, but in truth, I didn't. And that's why in medicine, especially in surgery and neurosurgery, we call the second and the third year resident, we call them the killers, because they're so full of adrenaline. They think they can do everything, they know everything, but they're in the bottom half of the Dunning curve, meaning that their competency, what they think how competent they are, the confidence is here, the knowledge is here. Eventually, the confidence goes down and the knowledge goes up, and they meet, and then you become an expert, and then the confidence and knowledge then catch up together.
Is that, I wonder, I see this often, I mean, just from a school side of things, many people that go into exams, they come out and they're like, I don't feel very good. And then they end up doing very well, on opposed to the other people who go in saying, I'm ready for this test. I'm going to do really great. That was easy. Typically don't do as well. Is that similar to this?
Yes. When you think you are not doing very well, most of the time you do pretty well. Now, do you know what I just described to you? Why is it important for our podcast today, the Dunning curve?
Why?
Because Germans were there. Germans were in a little bit of a cocky, I still are.
Yeah.
Okay. Very confident, very cocky. Here we are German, we are good, and so on. They thought they have codes that we cannot break, and they were very close to that actually. But what they really neglected that they and for the good for the rest of the world, and obviously bad for them, they expelled all the Jewish professors from their university. Literally in 1930s, they expelled all, and we are talking about the top of the line human mind. So they deprived themselves of the top of the mind human resources, like Einstein. He was a German. He came in 1930s to us and never returned. And a lot of people like him. So, and these are mathematicians and the statistician, they're physicists and so on, the top line. So the Germans were in this Dunning curve that they created that Enigma machine that they were confident nobody can really break it.
What is the Enigma machine?
The Enigma, like, let's talk about coding. If you send me a message that you want only I know the answer and nobody else can find that, obviously you cannot talk in words, right? But what about you if you change the words? Like, you make a Z, or you make an N an R or something. And then you send me something gibberish, but you and I, we have the key, and then you use your key to code it, and you send the gibberish to me. I use the code to decode it, and then your message makes sense.
I did that exact same thing in like the 3rd or 4th grade to send messages to my friends. Like we'd had a key and we did that exact same thing. And I guarantee you, we were not that brilliant.
Yeah, same as my sister and I. We used to be like kind of naughty, and we had certain things we weren't allowed to say because we were so annoying. So we would just change the letters.
Yeah. How long do you think, even in 1940s, would any random mathematician need to break that code?
Not very long.
2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we can break that code in
seconds.
In milliseconds. Milliseconds. Do you know how we break that?
Put it into Chat GPT.
No, well, like that. But
I'm just kidding.
In any language, certain letters are used statistically more often than the others.
Oh, sure.
And then you see which letters are more common, and then you literally put those letters and move them around. Once you have 5 of those letters figured out, the rest is like if you look at the text that some misspelled, you still can read it.
Yeah,
so
we know. We know.
Luckily, there's only 26 letters in the alphabet.
We go on your LinkedIn and correct it.
And I'm thankful for that. But that is a millisecond thing. Now, it's harder if you change the order that A, depending on what order it is, it can be a B, can be a C, can be a D, and so on and so forth. But even that is, with the computer and with the mathematical method, easy to solve. So the Enigma machine did not use all of that. The Enigma machine used a series of wheels that the codes that they would put there was 5, but it would run
5 what?
5 wheels or 6 wheels, something like that. But the language would run through those 4 times. by running through the method, I think 4 to 8 times, the number of the iteration that you would have would be so big that at that time,
It would take a lot longer.
making it with the hand wouldn't be possible at all.
I see. It kind of looked like a typewriter.
It is like a typewriter
Yeah.
with the electricity going not from A to A, but going through a wheel, and each wheel would change the electricity flow. And if you put a letter would show up,
Okay.
and you would write that letter instead of A and B and so on and so forth. But then that gibberish you would transfer per telegram or whatever method, and then on the other side they would have the same code on the same Enigma machine, and then they would transfer that from the gibberish to a language.
So the Enigma machine was only used for like written code, so letters and numbers, right?
Yeah, for messages. That's
But
all what it's
There were
about.
other ways that they kind of hid information, like sometimes they would hide data within data. So for instance, there would be a song that had information inside the song.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they tried lots of different things, but in the military, you need to be precise. You need to know a coordinate and the time of an attack.
Yeah.
Okay, so this Enigma machine was used for the bulk of German military information transfer, and it was very effective. And there's another thing that they did. They were very cocky, that really got them at the end, and that is very interesting. Alan Turing and some other mathematician in England, and with a lot of help from US. But as a matter of fact, they needed to have an actual Enigma machine to see how it works. That Enigma machine was actually provided to them by Americans. We got one from Finland or Poland, Poland, I believe, and then we gave it to them. It was a cooperation to British people, and so to the British intelligence, so that they can use it to break the code. And they started, doing it per hand was impossible. And all the mathematical thing, they could do it, but it just would take too long. And the German would change the code they have the code book, every day they would change that. It would take them years to break it, and next day it was a different code anyways. And then Alan Turing automatized the process in a mechanical, electronic kind of way, with very rudimentary tools they had, but it still wasn't good enough. Do you know what at the end really got them? These damn Germans, at the end of their message, they would say Heil Hitler. So if that is going to be
At the end of every.
No, but that's not enough. That's even not. No, that's by far. It's much more complex than that. But that would help them to eliminate lots of other possibilities and concentrate things that fits Heil Hitler at the end of the message. So even if they knew it's Heil Hitler at the end, calculating per hand, it was way too long. But feeding it to the machine, it would eliminate a lot of different possibilities, and then the machine would work on fewer and could run that and break the code within reasonable time frame that is useful to our effort.
Yeah, so kind of his ego.
Yeah, the Donner
got really got in the way.
Yeah. They think they're so big and bad that you said that they could sign everything. That's like sending an anonymous email and then signing your name at the end.
Love Amanda. Yeah, but there were some more sneaky ways. Like obviously when we think of secret communication, we think of codes right away. But there were some sneakier ways that we were sending messages.
Yeah. I mean, besides like being on physical paper, sending them through the mail or by pigeons.
Yeah.
They kind of decided to take it onto fabric.
This is my second favorite way of their secret communication.
Tell me about it.
You go.
Okay, so basically what we learned is that instead of putting these codes or these maps on paper that at the time, would bleed, smudge, could be encrypted, they started taking them and printing them on silk, which would basically kind of eliminate that bleeding and make them last longer. But then they were also able to fold them and sew them into any little pocket crevice that they wanted without being found.
Yeah, so like the way my shirt's folded like this, they could put a silk map inside my shirt and then I cut it open. And not only that, but it's on silk. So when I'm folding it back together, if it's nighttime and I'm trying to hide, no one's going to hear me folding it back together.
No,
And it won't rip if it gets wet.
Yep,
And the
if
ink
it
will
could be
still
washed.
no,
and
no,
it
you're
won't
talking
bleed.
about the World War II spyware.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're taking notes.
Yeah.
Do you want to add anything about the silk maps?
Well, who would they send it to? I mean, who was the recipient of
I
that?
think it was maybe more so like a way to get, from here to there, or if you were on a longer mission, you could always have it in without, because people were expecting pieces of paper, they were expecting codes, they were expecting maps, physical maps. And so it was just another way that, people wouldn't see the map in their pocket. They could cut it out and sew it up.
So, Amanda, do you want to talk about that and Monopoly? How that and Monopoly played a role in our war effort?
Yeah, that's what I was getting to. Actually, the Monopoly is what inspired this whole podcast. Do you guys remember playing Monopoly as a kid?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I have 3 different versions of Monopoly.
Well, back then there was basically one version of Monopoly, and they decided sneakily to make a British version of Monopoly. And this British version on the get out of jail free part had a little dot on it, a little red dot. And that indicated that this is a secret map Monopoly board. And inside the board were different tools to escape from, like, if you were held hostage, and also a map to escape if you were held hostage.
Well, you mean prisoner of war.
Yeah, these are prisoners of war. And
they would send by Red Cross packages from home, and the Monopoly, and the Germans are saying, oh, let them play Monopoly to be busy. And so
not, because
it is a long game.
Yeah, and the prisoners, I think, were pretty annoying to the Germans. So the Germans wanted them to be distracted and
Germans
busy.
Easily irritated too.
You would know.
And then they would fold these silk maps of the
But not
location.
just silk maps, tools too, escape tools, blades. And
And
they would put them inside the boards, but even the makers of the boards didn't know. It was like a whole secret operation. The boards would be made with a special stamp, and then people would go into the factory in the middle of the night and create the small
Secret
little crevices.
compartments? Yeah.
Secret departments in the boards.
Do you think that's still happening today?
I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised either. Maybe not, prisoners of war, but like some sort of, in things that we buy now, like, maybe not Monopoly boards, but it's probably all around us.
I've bought like fake Pringles cans, fake soda cans that feel like they're soda, and there actually is Pringles on the inside, but then on the bottom there's a little compartment and you twist it and it's actually hollow. So there's
Why would you buy that?
Just to have,
Just
like
to have.
for my
Maybe she
key.
wants to put some dip in the bottom
also-
and then chips in the top.
like for my keys and stuff, hiding my keys.
Okay.
I have little brothers.
Okay, but or when she travels, they say, put your money or your cards, anything special in, not in like pill bottles, like at one point they told us to do, but that would be a brilliant idea. And a chip, I mean, maybe it's not safe with
At the
me. I'd
beach.
probably check the chips,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, same.
Yum, 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 yum. Chips.
and then, ooh, money,
Money.
Chips?
Better than chips.
Bugatti.
Well, I think that we really got a good cover on some of the secret communications in World War II.
I know I did. I learned way more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for watching, guys. This was Essence of History, Secret Communication of World War II. I'm Amanda Armagast.
I'm Melissa Haber.
And I'm Dr. Bossi for Essence.